I just used the live roundtable in Parlay and wanted to share it with you guys. When I did it, halfway through, one of the students stopped and unmuted and just said, "I love this." So I think it's pretty cool. Again, it says online roundtable and live roundtable. Online basically means that they're typing the answers and they're working on their screens individually. They're obviously online when they're doing it, but you could do that face to face or in an online distance learning scenario. Same with live roundtable. Live roundtable is more that you're having a live audio discussion, but it also has some typing features, and you could do this in a classroom setting, or you can also do it for distance learning. So I'm doing distance learning at the moment, and actually, I made a session today all about robots. I accidentally made it as a roundtable, an online roundtable first, so I have shared that to the universe, you can see it. But what happened in this one was I just go to create new and I do live. When you do that, it has a really nice video that you can show to your kids. I actually just watched the video and kind of summarized it, and I can invite students. You can have no stimulus here. For me, what I did was I got them to watch a video first, actually two videos, one about 10 robots that will change the world, and one was Isaac Asimov's 3 Laws of Robotics, and I got them to pop in. So you don't have to set up much, you can just do it as class starts. But what I did was I had a bunch of questions that I was going to go through from the robotics session, and I started off with a poll. So I had a poll, so when they came in, they voted. So that means that I can see that they voted. I can see, oh yeah, look, 17 people thought this and 3 people thought this. They must have an opinion. So that means that I get them to vote. I said, okay, so think about why you gave the answer and tap in. So I'm going to pop into my actual one I had. So the polls, the very first poll was, do you think that robots will ever be able to pass as a human? And then I got them to tap in. So they can choose new idea, challenge, build on, or question. Obviously in that very first part, they're going to do new idea or question. And then they're saying their idea. So what happens is on the screen, it pops up with all the participants here who've tapped in. So I can see like 5 students. I can see the blue, green underneath, and I can choose one to tap in to speak. Because it's the first time we're doing it and it's online and it's grade 6, what I was doing was I'd say, okay, now can so-and-so share your idea? Or, oh, I can see that Tom has challenged Jack. Tom, please say what your challenge is. So I was kind of facilitating. But in theory, when you have a live version, face-to-face, or when they're used to this, you can step back because they can vote on who they want to speak next. And also they can see, like, so say only 3 of you are tapped in and there's a natural pause, you can unmute and start speaking. What I can do over here is if I see that someone hasn't tapped in, I can click on their name and they get tapped in over here. So I can also do a nudge. So I can say like, hey, why don't you consider saying your idea? So I can give them that little push. And then whenever there's a lulling conversation or we were kind of going around in circles, I would do a new poll. So you can see I also have, do you think robots should be used to dispense medication in hospitals and conflict zones? The more robots we create, the less creative we will become. Then I also, at the very end, did you like Parlay? And you can see 2 voted neutral, but most people said they loved it or they liked it. So I'm thinking for the neutral people, it might be those who have English as a second language, maybe those that are quite shy. So what's really cool is I can see all the questions that I gave students. So when they're logged in on this side, they can actually see some questions and they have a notepad where they can write their responses, which I think is pretty cool. And I can see if they had written them here. Oh, if they sent me a note, for example, I can see the individual students' work. This is where their notes are. So the questions, this one I put a whole bunch in because I'd taken them from an activity I had previously done. And that's how we kind of, I had those questions lined up. So then I could just copy paste them and put them into a poll. So I could say, okay, let's move on to the next point. And then I just did it straight away. So you don't have to have this ahead of time, but it really helps me. And it helps me kind of, it's like almost setting an agenda, right? They can see those and they can write notes, which so if they don't participate verbally, they can still share those notes with me. And at the end, you get this really nice summary. So I can see 80% participated. I can see how much time people spent in the circle. And then I can also see how many tap-ins roughly there were per student. I can see new ideas, challenges, build on questions. What's really nice is it gives me some suggestions. So it says encourage the class to ask more questions, okay? Or encourage the class to build on each other's ideas. Then it has reflection questions for the students. So I showed them this because they're my guinea pigs. I showed them like, this is why I'm doing it. This is what the teacher view looks like. What do you think? Do you think this is useful to me? But these questions are actually for the kids. So was there any type of contribution that was more common than others? Why do you think that was the case? And then, so I asked them for this one, is it a problem that we have more new ideas and challenges? And they said, no, it's because we all agree with each other. So I thought that was quite funny. So then we were also able to talk about, should there be more of a balance? It'd be interesting to see the different types of discussions, how the balance of new ideas, challenges, build on some questions change. So obviously, I'm an NYP teacher. We have our inquiry questions, including a debatable question. So for me, I really see a nice use of Parlay ideas live for using like debatable questions. So I want to see when we do that, have I made really obvious debatable questions that we're going to pick one side, or is it actually going to be a proper debate? So I'm excited for that. And then down here, I can also see I can see all the students' kind of individual responses. So what was nice for me, I said, oh my goodness, I can't believe that this student was challenging so much. So I think they kind of like looking at their results. I think also we only had that 80% participation. We had a couple of kids who were quiet. What I did then was I should have pushed them into the circle, but what I did was I just asked them the direct question. They unmuted and answered. If I had actually pulled them into the circle, which you can do again by clicking one of these, then it would reflect that they had spoken as well. So I really liked this. I was a little bit reluctant. I was a little bit nervous that this would be harder to do with online learning, but it was great. So please give it a go. If you have any questions, let me know.